The transmission is the same. The engine is the same. The assembly line is the same. But one of these cars wears a bow tie adjacent badge that died in 2010, and the other one wears a Toyota emblem. And that single difference is worth real money on the used market. We're talking about the Pontiac Vibe and its twin, the Toyota Matrix. Here's the part most buyers never learn. From 2003 to 2008, and again from 2009 to 2010, the Vibe and the Matrix were built side by side at the same factory in Fremont, California, a plant jointly operated by Toyota and General Motors called NUMMI. Same platform, same engines, same transmissions, same suspension geometry. GM didn't design this car from scratch and borrow a few parts. Toyota engineered it, and Pontiac put its own sheet metal and a different badge on top. That's not a rumor. That's not enthusiast folklore. That's the actual origin of the car, and it's the reason this video exists. Because right now, in 2026, a Pontiac Vibe in good condition routinely sells for less than an equivalent Toyota Matrix, sometimes $1,000 less, sometimes more, for a car that is mechanically the same underneath. You're not paying for engineering. You're paying for a badge that people trust, on a car built by the same people who build the badge they don't trust. If you understand exactly which Vibe to buy, you can own Toyota reliability at Pontiac depreciation. But you have to know the versions, because not every Vibe is the same car, and the differences matter more than most shoppers realize. Let's start with the base engine, because this is where most buyers will land. The standard first-generation Vibe, built from 2003 through 2008, used a 1.8-liter four-cylinder engine known internally as the 1ZZ-FE. This is the exact same engine Toyota put in the Corolla and the base Matrix during those years. It's a simple, naturally aspirated engine with a timing chain instead of a belt, which means no expensive belt replacement service every 90,000 miles. That alone saves you a repair bill that plenty of other economy cars from this era required. But this engine has one well-documented weakness, and you need to know it before you buy. Certain model years of the 1ZZ-FE, mainly in the early to mid-2000s production, had a piston ring design that allowed oil consumption to creep up over time. Some owners found themselves adding a quart of oil between changes. Toyota acknowledged this widely enough that extended warranty coverage was offered on related vehicles, like the Camry and Corolla from similar years. It wasn't a catastrophic engine killer for most owners, but it is a real inspection point. Before you buy any Vibe with this engine, check the oil level yourself. Ask for maintenance records, and if possible, watch the exhaust on startup for blue smoke. A well-maintained example with an owner who kept oil topped off will usually run past 200,000 miles without drama. A neglected one can burn through oil quietly until it doesn't. Now here's where the Vibe gets genuinely interesting, and where most casual shoppers have no idea what they're looking at. Pontiac also offered a GT version of the Vibe, and this is not the same car mechanically. The GT used Toyota's 2ZZ-GE engine, the same high-revving 1.8-liter you'd find in the Toyota Corolla XRS and the Celica GT-S from the same era. This engine uses variable valve timing and lift, redlines close to 8,200 revolutions per minute, and was paired exclusively with a 6-speed manual transmission sourced from the same Toyota parts bin. This is not a warmed-over economy engine. It's a legitimately sporty, high-output unit that most people driving past a Vibe GT would never suspect is under the hood. The trade-off here is real, so don't mistake this for a free upgrade. The 2ZZ-GE wants to be revved to make its power, which means it's less relaxed in daily stop-and-go traffic than the base engine. It also requires more attentive oil maintenance, since the higher redline puts more stress on internal components. But if you're the kind of buyer who wants something with actual driving character, and you can find a well-documented GT with a clean 6-speed, you're looking at a genuinely fun car that almost nobody cross-shops because they don't know it exists inside a Pontiac hatchback. Then there's the version most family buyers should actually pay attention to. The all-wheel drive Vibe. Starting partway through the first generation, Toyota and GM offered an AWD vibe using a 2.4-liter four-cylinder, the 2AZ-FE, which is the same engine architecture used in the Toyota Camry and RAV4 from that period. This engine is paired with a viscous coupling all-wheel drive system, not a full-time system, which means power goes to the rear wheels only when the front wheels lose traction. That's a meaningful distinction if you live somewhere with real winters and expected true full-time AWD. This system is closer to a traction safety net than a performance system, and buyers should understand that before assuming it behaves like a Subaru. The upside is real, though. The 2.4-liter engine sidesteps the oil consumption concern tied to the smaller one, ZZ-FE, and it gives you meaningfully more low-end torque, which matters if you're regularly loading the hatch with kids, gear, or cargo. If you live somewhere with snow and want one car that handles it without buying a truck or an SUV, the AWD Vibe is a genuinely underrated option, and almost nobody cross-shops it against a RAV4, despite sharing that RAV4's engine family. Now let's talk about the second generation, because the story changes here. In 2009, Toyota and GM redesigned both the Vibe and the Matrix. The base engine moved to a 2.4-liter four-cylinder shared with the Corolla XRS and Camry, dropping the smaller one ZZ-FE entirely, which also means the earlier oil consumption concern becomes far less relevant on these newer cars. The second-generation Vibe only ran through 2010, because that's when GM discontinued the Pontiac brand entirely during its 2009 bankruptcy restructuring. That short production run is actually part of the opportunity. Fewer Vibes exist from these final years, but the ones that do exist tend to have avoided some of the earliest reliability quirks of the original one, ZZ-FE cars, while still carrying the depreciation penalty of a dead brand. That dead brand depreciation is really the engine behind this entire video. When Pontiac disappeared in 2010, resale values for every Pontiac model took a hit, because buyers assume a discontinued brand means disappearing parts support and lower confidence in long-term ownership. For most Pontiac models, that fear is somewhat justified, since most of them were genuinely GM-engineered vehicles with GM-specific parts. But the Vibe breaks that logic completely, because its parts bin is Toyota's parts bin. Alternators, sensors, engine components, and drivetrain parts largely interchange with the Corolla and Matrix of the same years. You're not stuck hunting for orphaned Pontiac-specific parts. You're shopping the same supply chain Toyota owners use every day. On pricing, expect real variation depending on which engine and drivetrain you're looking at. Base 1. ZZ-EFE. Vibes in decent condition with moderate mileage often land in the range of $4,000 to $7,000, frequently a meaningful discount against a comparable Matrix. GT versions with the 6-speed are less common and tend to sit a bit higher, particularly if the clutch and drivetrain have documented maintenance. AWD models often command a premium over front-wheel drive versions simply because fewer were built, and demand is steady from buyers in snow states. As always, mileage, region, title history, and maintenance records will move these numbers more than the badge will. Before you buy any Vibe, there are a few things worth checking regardless of engine. Ask for maintenance history specifically around oil changes, since that's the single biggest variable in how these engines age. Inspect for rust around the rear wheel wells and rocker panels if you're in a road salt region, since this generation of small Toyota-based hatchbacks isn't immune to it. And if you're looking at a GT, get the clutch and shifter feel checked by someone who knows what a healthy 2ZZ-GE 6-speed should feel like, since a tired clutch on a high-revving engine is a common and predictable wear item. None of this makes the Vibe a perfect car. It's a compact hatchback from the 2000s, not a modern vehicle, and it lacks the safety technology and refinement of anything built in the last several years. If you need the latest crash avoidance systems or a modern infotainment setup, this isn't your car. But if your priority is a mechanically proven platform, real Toyota engineering, and a price that reflects a dead badge instead of the engine underneath it, this is exactly the kind of vehicle this channel exists to point you toward. The lesson here goes beyond one hatchback. Badges create prices. Engineering creates reliability. When those two things come from different companies wearing the same parts bin, the market often gets it wrong, and that gap is where informed buyers find real value. The Vibe isn't a fluke. It's a pattern, and once you understand how to spot a corporate twin like this one, you'll start noticing similar mispriced pairs across other brands. GM, Ford, and Chrysler quietly borrowed engineering from over the years. If you want to see where else that pattern shows up, the next video breaks down other rebadged vehicles hiding proven engineering behind brands nobody trusts anymore, and a few of them are even cheaper than this one.